Mm, just a bit too hot. Thought I might actually make it in time. I've been trying to get the timing right, to get it there and to get it at the right flavor. Excuse me. We're about to start the Subnautica Below Zero stream on February 22nd, 2023. I don't really know anything about this stream. I know a couple of things about it. By stream, I mean game, of course. A few people spoiled a few things for me during the Subnautica review. But what's really funny is, so I like to go into fresh games with a blind eye. Like, I prefer to walk in and not actually know what's going into it so I can experience it live and fresh for the first time. I mean, that's pretty basic, right? The thing is, this game kind of predates the current review structure by a decent amount. Or at least, the last Subnautica stream we did predates it by quite a amount. So, I looked into Sub-Zero, or Below Zero, whatever the hell it's actually called. Didn't find a lot. Didn't find a large amount of information about it. And that kind of struck me as odd. I don't know if that's changed since then, or if it just doesn't have the same reputation as the original. Who knows? I do know there's a couple of wiki entries that are like, hey, this points to this thing over on Below Zero, and if you click on it, it says, this is a stub, and there's no information there. Make of that what you will. Either way, I wanted to toss a question at you before I go ahead and hit stream. So one of the things we talked about back during the original Subnautica stream, and during the recent review, was where else would you like a game of this format? Now, obviously survival games are survival games, but the Subnautica format is a little bit more precise than that. It's not just a survival game. Obviously, there's survivor builder stuff, but there's also a very clear sense of progression and a very gradient design to it, something I praised constantly during the game. So where else could we do that, right? Now, if you remember, in my original stream, way back in the day, I need to look at how long it was at some point. Back in the day, I posited the idea of Space Nautica. Having since had a few years of analysis and design experience, I look at it and I think, now what we should do, think about like a giant asteroid, right? And this asteroid has, I mean, it's about the size of the caldera. And it's probably not 4 by 4 by 4, but maybe like 2 by 2 by 2. A pretty decent sized chunk of space, especially for a game of this scope, with the movement speed and whatnot thereof. Making it so that it feels a lot bigger than it is, just like in Subnautica. Because the caldera isn't that big, right? And there's stuff inside, like there's biomes, there's caves, there's structures, there's probably wrecks and ruins and all kinds of cool stuff. And of course, oxygen would be a similar problem as it is in Subnautica, all sorts of stuff. That was my big idea. During the stream, someone else suggested Desert Nautica, which, oh my god, I had no idea how much I wanted that until I heard about it. The problem is it'll never happen. Because what I really want, hear me out for a second. So, you know, desert, survival, air, water, and temperature and food being the big things, right? Temperature would be a huge issue, and dehydration would be a huge issue. All that fun stuff. Eventually you get like a skiff, Star Wars style, to go around. But what really ignited my imagination is we were talking about some of the specifics, like, because there's all sorts of directions you could take such a thing, right? There's all sorts of stuff you could do with the desert biome and desert caves and having to manage the heat and having to utilize the sand ornaments, blah, 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 blah. I mean, homeworld deserts of Carrack, right? What if the upgrade was a real capital ship? So one of my biggest complaints with Subnautica was the fact that the Cyclops kind of sucks. What if we got a freaking crawler in a Desert Nautica? I know I'm using the word completely wrong at this point, but I don't care. Like a full-on tank tread crawler, like the homeworld ship, the mothership, in Homeworld Deserts of Carrack, for example. Or I suppose like a sandcrawler that the Jawas tend to use over in Star Wars. Big old sucker, big old mobile base, lots of armor, could just kind of roll over certain types of things. Expensive as hell to build, but so worth it. And it's a mobile base. You could just build in there and live in there. Protects from the heat, you know, get some kind of air conditioning units going to cycle the air in, set up your research laboratory in the middle. I just think that would be extremely cool. What do you think? And what are your ideas? I don't have much else to share. Like I said, walking in kind of blind, which we're going to be doing in just a few minutes. Hope to see you there. Now I gotta hit the hot. See, I need to hotkey the record button, so I don't have to like look over like, where's the record button?